Introduction. Salary is defined as the monetary amount that an employer pays an employee in exchange for the service that the employee provides. A commission may be described as a group of persons provided with power to conduct something by a government or other official entity. In Malaysia, a Salaries Commission and Committee is a group of persons tasked with evaluating and reviewing salaries and commission in the public sector. The difference between a commission and a committee is that a commission members are citizens or public officials selected by governors or other authorities, where members of a committee are state legislators. Background of Salaries Commission and Salaries Committee. The Salaries Commission was in charge of assessing salaries plan and making recommendations to the government prior to 1976. In 1976, the structure was changed. The Cabinet Committee to Review Public Employee Salaries has taken the position of the Salaries Commission. Salaries Commission usually had clear objectives and offered recommendations to address issues related to public employee salaries. In 1992, the present system was totally overhauled and the new remuneration scheme was imposed. The system provided a variety of extra benefits, including as paternity leave. And one of the most important features of the new system was the elimination of fixed annual increments.
Salaries Committee should be the go-to source for information on best practice, trends, and rules governing executive remuneration. They act as a board advisor in this role. Remuneration Committee must be able to demonstrate to the board and shareholders how attaining business goals connect with and support executive compensation packaged in their strategic functions. One of the important is the change in wage policy and in the salary or wage level. Governments and social partners can, in theory, agree to revise the minimum wage anytime they see fit. In the absence of a defined periodicity, however, both workers and employees will face some unpredictability. Second is to recommend to top management the salary policies for the administration of salary program. Wage and administration systems are aimed to provide all employees with competitive and equal base pay through the use of salary structures and institutional policies and process. And lastly is to review wage and salary scheme department-wise. An effective reward scheme includes a variety of components, including financial incentive. While there is no legal requirement for business to conduct compensation reviews, doing so may help to improve employee loyalty and retention.
The Salaries Commissions and Salaries Committees' first function is to investigate salaries and other terms and conditions of service in the public sector. There are several terms and conditions of service granted to public sector's employees that determine the terms and conditions of payment in the public sector. As a result, the Salary Commissions and Salary Committee will conduct a salary and terms and conditions review to ensure that the country's finances are in good shape. Since the 1960s, Malaysia has had a few salary commissions and committees to review salaries and terms and conditions in the public sectors and report their findings to the governments. These committees perform the same functions and improve its objective to improve Malaysian civil service performance and compare it to that of the private sector, particularly in terms of civil servant salaries and citizen services. The Salaries Commissions and Salaries Committees' net functions is to make recommendations on salaries and other terms and conditions of public service. Following that, in 2012, the new remuneration scheme was established to improve the service provided by public sector's employers. As a result, about 10 years after the NRS was implemented, an improved version known as the Malaysian Remuneration System or MRS was introduced. This reform process has resulted in the new approach to performance evaluations, compensation progressions, and more objective and comprehensive level of competency assessment. The Malaysian Remuneration System (MRS) in particular is a comprehensive remuneration plan designed to meet public service standards in the K economy. Finally, the functions of salaries commissions and salaries committees is to make a positive impact in the civil service by motivating better performance. Clearly, the image of government is heavily influenced by the extent to which the public sector is effective and efficient. Several administrative reforms have been implemented in Malaysia to strengthen the public services efforts to achieve the aims and objectives outlined in the Perspective and Strategic Plan. The implementations of and improvements of the Malaysian Remuneration System or MRS is expected to improve the performance of Malaysian civil servants and differentiate them from those available in the private sector.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Alifitrid and I will explain about Malaysia New Remuneration. The new remuneration system NRS introduced in 1991 showed a paradigm shift in reward practice. The system put a great deal of emphasis on aspects of Malaysia public service. It aimed to improve the capacity of public service to address the current and future challenges of national development. When first announced, positive move to review efficiency and improve public sector productivity and quality included improved compensations, regular monitoring and evaluation of public sector performance, and requirement of performance-focused staff. The introduction of the NRS has brought many new benefits, from 90 days of long vacation to 42 days of fully paid maternity leave for new mother, loans to buy computer and enrollment allowance, leisure clubs and childcare health promotion service, to name a few. However, much of the debate and attention is on performance evaluation and the metric payroll schedule. The reason is clear. In the past, civil servants could expect a salary increase or an automatic annual salary increase after a year of work. An important feature of the NRS is the introduction of new salary structure, a metric salary scale for all branches of public service, replacing the previous linear salary scale. NRS is an attempt to a linear performance with reward, where salary promotion is based on employee performance, consistent with the concept of performance pay. In the metric salary scale, wages can move in 4 different ways, which are static, horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. The top performer will move diagonally and achieve double the annual gain of the average 80%. On the other hand, less successful people will not get a result every year for that year. However, the top performer award is limited to only 5% of an organization's total employee. This is a turning point in the salary structure of civil servants in Malaysia. This was the first serious attempt by the Mahathir government to make the public sector more attractive and to prevent a brain drain toward the private sector. To improve NRS implementation, the government introduced a new performance evaluation system in January 1993 with the aim of establishing a systematic, transparent and reliable standard. The standard annual performance review format used by the government agency included items such as result, knowledge, appetite, skill, personal qualities, contributing to society, activity and informal action. The annual performance review is then used to monitor the performance of civil servants and to determine annual salary increase. NRS also reclassifies civil servants into 3 main work groups, namely, first, labour management, operation group, and support group. The NRS has also increased entry requirements into public service based on formal academic qualification. For the group of executive and professional, the minimum qualification is university degree. Staff in support group 1 have a high school diploma or certificate SPM, while staff in support group 2 must at least a Malaysian school certificate SPM or lower education certificate PMR. However, flexibility is introduced when considering talent for some jobs, such as musician and culture agent. Although NRS has made many positive changes to help employees recognize pro-market values such as efficiency, productivity, and profitability, it has not been accepted by Malaysian employees yet. The implementation of the MRS aroused discontent among officials. Research showed the failure of the NRS is also due to limited budget to reward outstanding employees, as only 50% of employees in each department can be rewarded each year. For this reason, after about 10 years of implementing the NRS, the government, through the Special Cabinet Committee chaired by the Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir, revised the NRS and introduced the Malaysia Remuneration System (MRS) in 2002.
Yes, Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Nofatia binti Muhammad Razi. So I will continue with my part, which is the Malaysian Remuneration System, or its acronym MRS. It is a salary scheme and also the conditions of services as revised and amended by the federal government and effective 1st November 2002 and came into effect on 1st January 1992. This MRS specifically was set up for the Malaysian public service. It was introduced after a decade of implementation. The new Malaysian remuneration system, which was seen as failing to achieve the set objective, and the MRS was introduced in 2002 as an improved version of merit-based compensation practice. In line with current national challenge, salary distribution rules as practices in the NRS have been replaced by the Malaysian remuneration system in 2002. For example, the Public Service Department in 2002, the Malaysia Public Service Department in 2006 was introduced to help support the government's vision, knowledge, economy and lifelong learning to further enhance the civil servant scheme. Therefore, in appreciation of their contribution, namely employees, the government has agreed to pay a bonus of month or a minimum of around 1,200 in 2 installments from November 2002. This NRS is due to widespread dissatisfaction, feedback and negative views on the implementation and objectives of NRS. That is why it was later replaced by Malaysian remuneration system in November 2002 after 10 years of implementation. It is a measure of a member's level of achievement in terms of knowledge, skills, and characteristic of attitude, values, and work ethic required for a job or position, and the government has decided to introduce a competency level assessment to all members of civil service from 1st November 2002, except the main post, public sector, and special grades, where employees will be assessed on their performance during a course designed specifically for them and will conclude with an examination of their work. But the reform of this system left QPACs dissatisfied and continued to urge the government. For example, on November 6, 2021, QPACs asked the government to review the MRS as it had not been changed for 19 years. This is because, in the view of QPACs, the system does not seem to be relevant nowadays as the rising cost of living is no longer the same as when MRS was introduced 19 years ago in 2002. The cost of living is increasing years after year, but the minimum wage for civil servants remain unchanged at Rm 1,200, and civil servants find it difficult to adapt to the current situation. So that's all from me. Thank you.